Hi, my name is Autif Kamal, and this is episode 46 of Be Logical. This episode is about how presently 4 out of 5 adults in America either live in poverty or have encountered poverty. The majority of the information that I'm getting for this episode is from Hope Yen, who writes for the Associated Press. The name of her article is 4 in 5 U.S. face near poverty, no work. Also, when I say encountered poverty, what's obviously vague about that is how long, for what duration, these adults would be in poverty for. So that's one thing to keep in mind. And also, by adults, Hope Yen doesn't really specify what age that she means. She does mention working age adults as well, and I know that the definition of a working age adult is of the age range between 21 to 61. So something to keep in mind when we think of adults. Presently, the U.S. population is 313.9 million. 46.2 million of that population is poor, and that is about 15% of the United States population. Now, what is meant by poor? Well, what it means to be for a family to be poor will vary from family to family, since different families consist of different number of members, and so their needs will vary as the number of family members vary. But in a typical family of 4, consisting of 2 parents and 2 children, a family of 4 making $23,021 or less would be considered poor. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, in 2010, first of all, this information is coming from the United States Census Bureau. The name of the article is Income, Poverty, and Health Insurance Coverage in the United States, 2010. Now, in 2010, 10 million of the black population, 19 million of the non-Hispanic white population, 1.7 million of the Asian population, and 13 million of the Hispanic population were in poverty. Each of those races had increased in terms of the number of people that were in poverty by 1 million, with the exception of the Asian population, which had gone down by about 17,000. And it's not necessarily because they are making more. My assumption is because 17,000 of the Asian population has left to some other country, and I'll explain that more in a little bit. No matter what region of the US you're thinking about, the median income has gone down. So in the Northeast, from 2009 to 2010, the median income went down from close to 54,000 to closer to 53,000. For the Midwest, from 49 to 48,000. In the South, from 46 to 45,000. In the West, from 54 to 53,000. Okay, so going back to the point that I made before about the 17,000 of the Asian population. Now, originally I said that they have likely left the country, but I'm going to revise that statement and say that's a possibility. I'm saying that's a possibility just because, as you saw or heard here, no matter what race you're looking at, the median income has gone down for that race, and if the median income has gone down for that race, no matter which race it is, then anyone who makes less than that income will probably also likely face a decrease to their income. But what is also a possibility is just that perhaps that 17,000 of the Asian population were able to find a way to get themselves out of poverty. That is another possibility that I had neglected when I first made that statement. Also, something that's interesting is from 1969 to 1989, 17% of those aged between 35 to 55 were in poverty, whereas 11.8% of those aged between 45 to 55 were in poverty. The percentage that's in poverty, no matter what the age, between 35 to 55 has increased. So from 1989 to 2009, 23% of those who were aged from 35 to 55 were in poverty, and those who are aged 17.7% of those who are aged 45 to 55 are in poverty. So it's really interesting because no matter what the region, no matter what the race, and perhaps even regardless of the age, these people will increase, and the number of people will increase in poverty. Now, something else that Ho Pian's article talks about is economic insecurity, and this is how she defines it. Quote, a year or more of periodic joblessness, reliance on government aid such as food stamps or income below 150% of the poverty line. Now, if we were to consider the typical family of 4 and the income of $22,021, 150% below that would be about 15,000. Okay, so it's a whole new level of poverty because number one, they're making a lot less, and number two, given the number of the members of family that they have, they cannot satisfy their everyday needs, such as having enough food. Now, according to a study published by the Associated Press, by 2030, 76% of whites will be economically insecure by the age of 60. If you consider all races, it would be 79%. Or if you consider all non-white races, it would be 90%. And actually, it's not the percentage that will be economically insecure, it will be those who are at risk. That is what Ho Pian says. I don't know what it means to be at risk and what calculations are made for that to happen, but I think those are questions that would be worth answering if you want to find out how many would actually be economically insecure rather than just the risk. Alright, so the Rockefeller Foundation had released this study or a survey for economic insecurity in the United States between 2008 and 2010. The name of that survey or study is Economic Insecurity Index Across the American States. And considering all states and all races in the United States, the actual economic insecurity was from 16 to 23%. Now, if the details that I mentioned before continue about median income dropping no matter what the race, region of the U.S., and possibly even the age, then I think it's likely that as the years go by, the percentage of people who are economically insecure will increase as well. I think that's not a bold prediction. I think it's pretty likely. And that's basically my guess. Anyway, thank you for watching and or listening to this episode of Be Logical.